Hi, my loves. So I am back, and today we are going to be discussing healing from generational trauma. Now, y'all already know this can go a lot of different ways. It's a lot of different things we can discuss. So I do have some talking points today that I will be touching on. I had asked some of my Instagram followers, and they gave me some really good insights. So I'm going to use that to help guide the conversation. So basically, today we are going to be discussing generational trauma. I'm going to give like some common examples that I noticed, and then also some practical ways that you guys can help, heal those things. So let's get into it. We are thinking about generational trauma. We are literally talking about like emotional wounds, survival patterns, things that we literally learned that were passed down generation to generation. And a lot of times we don't recognize that we do certain things. We just picked it up and you won't notice it until you do or you say something. And then you look up and you like, dang, I sounded just like my mama, or I sounded just like my grandma, I sounded just like my granddad. And a lot of the stuff, it just be generational. But we're going to talk about the trauma, the traumatic sides of it, because a lot of that stuff we need to be letting go, okay? Now, when it comes to the trauma part, a lot of that stuff, it stems from poverty. It stems from instability, okay? A lot of that stuff, it just be like, we didn't have, it was a lack thing, and we picked it up and passed it along. So the first one that I want to discuss is not asking for help. Now, this is very common in the black community, especially. A lot of people don't like to ask for help, and it's for a lot of different reasons. Sometimes it stems from pride, ego. It also comes from shame. People be ashamed to ask for help, or they feel like they asked for help in the past and nobody came to help them. So it's like after a period of time of going through that for so long, I'm not about to ask for nobody. Nobody ever comes, so no, I'm not going to ask. Or you asked for help, somebody came and helped, and then they talked about it. And who wants help that's going to be brought up again? Or they used it over your head, like, yeah, I helped you. Now it's like being used against you every time you could look around. It's so many different reasons why people are scared to ask for help. And a lot of the people that are not willing to ask for help, they are the main ones that help everybody. Okay? But that is like mostly a trauma response that can be passed along. So let's discuss it. Now, some of the things that I've noticed, especially in the black community when it comes to not asking for help, is with us, we are very divided. When you look at other cultures, you'll see they understand the power in numbers. They will literally come together, whereas we are always trying to either one up each other or we can't seem to get along for a common goal or something of that nature. You see it in business. You see it when it comes to getting ahead. Other cultures, everybody will get into one house and tag team the bills. With us, oh, I don't want to live with my mama. I don't want to live with my grandma. I don't want to live. Whole time, the common goal is not to just be living with each other. It's to get ahead. Somebody might be working on their credit. Somebody might be working on trying to buy a house. Somebody might be working on trying to get their degree so that way they can advance in life. It's not simply about the right now. And I feel like a lot of us be stuck in the right now, but that is a perfect example of not wanting to ask for help. You don't know how to partner together. You don't know how to come together. It stems from that. You also see it in business. We don't want to ask for help. Somebody might have 10 to 20 years of resources or knowledge that they could pour back into us, but either they're gatekeeping or we're scared to ask because maybe they not going to give us nothing. Like, they not going to give us what we need. And everybody else, baby, they partnering together. They might not even really like each other for real, but they understand in a business aspect, we are more powerful together than we are divided. So that is something that I definitely noticed, and I feel like we definitely need to change. And also, not asking for help is rooted in survival. Again, you may have asked for help in the past. Nobody came to save you. You asked for help, they used it as leverage. They used it against you. So now it's like, I'm not asking nobody for nothing. And this often just developed in families where it wasn't safe to be vulnerable. You knew you couldn't call nobody and ask. And if you did, all of a sudden the whole family know what you're going through. Nobody don't want to deal with that. So I just feel like those are some areas where not being able to ask like is rooted in. And now we could kind of like discuss how you can heal and move past that. Now, the first thing I would say is you need to build a community. You have to foster community. in order for you to even feel safe asking somebody for help, you need to have the right people around you. And don't just build community, you need to build a community of resourceful people. Because, like I stated, a lot of people that are scared to ask for help are often the ones that are helping. If you're always the one helping, when it's time for you to be in need and you need help, you can't ask nobody in your circle because they don't even have it. So when you are trying to build a community of resourceful people, you need to make sure whenever I scratch your back, at some point when I need my back scratched, you can do that. So that's first things first. Build a community and build a community of resourceful people. And the next thing is showing up for your community. You can't just build a community or, have all these people around you that could show up for you, but you never show up for them. One thing that life will teach you is that community is inconvenient. You will be inconvenienced at some point if you are doing right by your community. Your friend might have car troubles and they call you, hey, I'm sorry, but I need you to come pick me up from work. Do you mind? Are you available? That may be inconvenient to you, but that person is a part of your community. You got to show up for them because guess what? You might have a time where you may need your friend to go pick your kid up from school. And guess what? Because you were willing to inconvenience yourself and show up for them, they are willing to do that the same way. So that's why I say build a community, show up for the community, and understand that having a community alone will be inconvenient, but it's for all the right reasons. And just make sure you be there. Don't just show up for people because you feel like, oh, they gonna do for me. No, do it out of the kindness of your heart because you will reap what you sow. So, make sure you sow a good seed. And the next thing that you can do is actually ask. You don't be having stuff or you don't get the answers to your problems because you don't even ask. And the only way to feel comfortable asking for help is to literally practice it. You're never going to feel comfortable doing something until you do it. And you got to do it scared. You got to do it when you're not sure what the outcome is going to be or what the answer is going to be. So those are the three main things. Build a community of resourceful people so that way when it is time for you to ask, you feel it's like a safety net. You feel a little bit more inclined to ask because you know these people can. Whereas if you have a community of like worthless people, or not even worthless, just people that can't show up for you at all, and it don't always have to be monetary. It could be mentally, physically, emotionally. You might need somebody to come pray for you. You might can get yourself out of your situation, but you just need somebody to put in a prayer or lift you up mentally. If your community can't even do that, then you get what I'm saying? So building a community of resourceful people is important. Show up for those people so that way they will be more willing to show up for you. And then also learn to ask. You just got to practice it. You got to put it into practice. It's not nothing nobody could teach you. You just have to ask. But outside of just asking, you need to be asking the right people. So that's why building the right community is very important. But I definitely understand because nobody don't be wanting to just ask for stuff. That's just not what it is. And I could just honestly say from a personal perspective, that is how I grew out of the whole overly independent, never asking nobody for nothing and, just always weathering my own storms. I asked, but I asked the right people, if that makes sense. I'm able to ask for help now, but I don't just ask any and everybody for help. No, it don't give charity case, but I know who I can call. It might be far and few, but it's somebody, if that makes sense. So definitely, those are the ways that you can push past just being scared to ask or not asking for help when you need the help. You don't have to weather every storm by yourself. Build that community because that community will literally ride out some things with you, okay? Now, the next thing on my list is overgiving when you don't even have it to give. Now, this is so important. This is so common. This is often rooted in people pleasing. It's rooted in trauma bonding. It's a lot of different reasons why people just overly give. And it's rooted in, when I say trauma bonding, I mean basically you know what it's like to not have or be in need and nobody be there for you. So now every time somebody asks you for something, you overly exhausting yourself and your resources to be there. That's a trauma bond. Like you're trying to relate how you feel in that situation to that person that's asking. Don't do that. And it's like, honestly, when I see it from like a generational trauma aspect, some families were literally measured by sacrifice. Like, oh, you more locked in because of what you was willing to sacrifice for me, or just like little things like that. And it's like you can't carry that over because that does more harm than good. And that actually ties back to the first point. A lot of people who struggle with asking for help, they often are the ones who overly give when they don't even have it to give. So it's pretty self-explanatory how that shows up. Literally, people ask you for help, you know you don't got it, and you still trying to find a way to give it. We know how it shows up. But I want to discuss how can you move past that or basically stop doing that. First and foremost, when somebody comes to you with a situation where they are asking you for help, whatever it is, it might be, most of the times it's monetary, okay? Most of the times it's monetary, and you don't have it to give. Let's say you just got just enough for your situation. And if you give to this person, then you are going to be in a bind. If you are met with those type of situations, the first thing I would say is to pray, okay? Pray about the situation. And I'll tell you why I say to pray about it. Because first and foremost, you don't want to just tell them no right off the bat, but you also don't want to just jump in telling them yes, trying to play super saver. And it's different reasons for that. Sometimes people be in a bind and they be in messed up situations because of their poor stewardship. You know them people that call your phone always asking you for something or call you asking for resources, and you knew they went and spent all their money on the things that they wanted, and now they coming to you begging for their needs. That is poor stewardship. That's poor money management. And you helping them out, you're basically bailing them out of the lesson that they need to learn. So when I say pray about it, pray about whether you need to help them, because you don't really know why that person is in that financial bind to the point they need your assistance. And you don't want to just jump in, because if you jump in and that was a lesson they needed to learn, you about to learn that lesson because you didn't even have it to give. So if that person is always spending up their bill money, and they relying on you for their bill money, but you are always stewarding your money and your finances well. You spend your money on the things that you are supposed to. It might not be much, but you spend it where it's supposed to be spent. You are going to have to learn that lesson for them, because guess what? You get them the money and you save them, but now you short on your rent, you short on your car note, you short on your car insurance. So that whatever you just helped save them with, you just picked up their problem. So that's why I say to pray about it, because you don't want to jump in always trying to save somebody and then you end up having to learn a lesson. Another reason why I say to pray about it and see, whether God want to use you to even help that person is because sometimes you are placed in situations where God tests your heart, and he tests, would you be of assistance? Would you help people? And again, you wouldn't really know the situation if somebody just coming to you in need. Sometimes you do know, because sometimes we got social media nowadays. People just be if I see you at the club, you at this function, you at this party, you shopping, you doing all of this, and then you calling me about bill money. Them lamb chops better pay them bills. I don't know. But not to say it like that. But honestly, sometimes you don't really know why somebody is in a financial bind. Sometimes it's poor stewardship, and sometimes they just fell on hard times. So that's why it's important to first pray and see if God wants to use you to solve that problem, to help them out, because you already don't got it to give. And sometimes God will use you to help somebody even when you don't have, or even when you have a little. So again, pray so that way you know what the situation calls for. Now, when you pray, God will give you clarity. If he's just like, absolutely not, that person don't do right, this is a lesson they need to learn, then you move back. You back away. Do not put yourself in that line of fire, because if you do, you are going to learn that lesson. So you sit and you determine whether that lesson is worth learning, or if you want to, allow that person to learn the lesson that they need to learn. But pray for them as well. Pray that they're able to get out of their situation. And just because you're not able to help at this moment, that don't mean you can't lift them up in prayer. And then another thing that I would recommend as far as helping somebody helping people when you don't even have it to give, sometimes it don't always have to be monetary. You might not have much to give as far as like finances, but you might have a resource. You might be able to plug them into a program that can help them with their hardship. You might be able to plug them in with something or somebody that can help them. You don't have to always be the hand. You can be the connector or the third party that puts them in position to solve their problem. So sometimes you need to change your perspective. You don't have to play Captain Save a person in every situation when it comes to finances. You can help in other ways. And again, prayer is help. But if you have the means to, do it. But we are specifically speaking about when you don't have the means to, but you still want to help. And that also goes into, don't just pray about the situation, but once you get clarity, God will put it on your heart whether you should help them or whether you should not. So definitely take heed to that. The next thing that I would recommend is to set boundaries. If you are always the type that's giving, over giving, helping when you don't even have it to give, that's because you don't have boundaries. It's okay to tell people no. If you don't got it, you don't got it. And trust me, I get it because I was once a people pleaser. If I had to, put something on my credit card to help somebody that I loved, I would. If I had to, go borrow from somebody to help somebody that I love, I would. Basically, I would put myself in the bind to help somebody that was already in the bind because I didn't have it to give, but I knew what it felt like to need the help. Don't do that because you will often look up and realize a lot of people ain't coming to save you. When they don't have, guess what? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, friend. I'm sorry, sister. I'm sorry, cousin. I'm sorry, niece. I'm sorry. I ain't got it. People will tell you no in the sweetest of ways, but when you are the type of person that's always overly giving, even when you don't have it, you don't really know how to say no because you lack boundaries. You don't have boundaries. So now guess what? You've exhausted your resources. You've extended yourself. And not only did you put yourself in a bind with whatever you had going on personally, but you've also created this opportunity to grow like resentment. Because guess what? When it's your turn and that person don't show up and overextend themselves how you overextended yourself, you are going to feel some type of way. I'm telling you what I know. You're going to look at them different and you're going to be like, damn, like that's messed up. I literally overextended myself for you. No, you didn't ask me to, but that's just the type of person that I am. That's just the type of things that I would do. And when it's my go round, it's my turn, roles are reversed, and it's your turn to do that for me, you're not willing to do that for me. Why? You got boundaries. I ain't had no boundaries. So that's why I say you just have to set boundaries and be okay with saying no. Or, just you don't have to let people into your personal business. Just let them know. Unfortunately, I can't. That's not within my means right now. If you got other resources, if you have other things that you could possibly connect them with, give them those alternatives. Everything don't have to be solved by you. So if you are struggling with over giving when you barely have, understand that. You need to be praying about the situation to see if you even need to put yourself in that situation as savior. And then you also need to set boundaries. You got to establish boundaries. If you don't have boundaries, people will walk all over you and you will always be in these messed up situations. That's just what it is. Learn to say no. Learn when it's your battle to pick up. Learn when it's, your turn to jump in, and when it's okay to just sit some stuff out, because it is okay to sit some stuff out. God gonna always make a way for people. You don't always have to be that way. So I would definitely encourage that and promote that, okay? Or suggest that. And y'all, one thing about me, I love me a Celsius. So this is not promo, but Celsius, if you see this, let me get my little ad in. Celsius, if you see this, sponsor your girl. Now, my next point, this one is really good. It says, believing you don't deserve good things. Now, let me tell you something about this. People will never, ever say, oh, I don't believe I deserve all this money, or I don't believe I deserve this good relationship, or I don't believe I deserve this good job. They don't really say that, but their actions will show that. And I'm going to tell you how it shows up. The minute they get a bunch of money, they run through that money like crazy. Why? Because they don't believe that they deserve a good thing. The minute they get a good relationship, they jeopardizing it. They accusing the person of just doing all the things that they've experienced in the past. Why? Because they don't believe they deserve a good thing. It's a lot of different ways that people show that they don't feel like they deserve a good thing. And again, it's not going to be said, it's going to be done. That's when you just start ruining opportunities. You just start jeopardizing the good thing that you have because you don't believe that you deserve it. So understand, you might feel in your heart, or you feel like you want this good thing, but your actions are literally about to make you ruin that good thing. So if you experience that, that's basically your belief system saying you don't deserve good things. Now, this one is kind of tricky because this is really internal work. This is something that you are going to have to really watch yourself, watch the things that you are doing, and actively correct them. If it's your money, like let's say you don't have a good relationship with money or a healthy relationship with money. So you don't believe you deserve good things when it comes to finances. And how does that look? Again, if you get a bunch of money, the minute you come into some money, you spend it because you're scared that you're going to already, be back in a financial hardship. Maybe you had a lot of times where you just didn't have money. Like, you always go from up to down, up to down. Like, you have, and then you just in a financial rut. You don't have a good relationship with money, so it's hard for you to feel like you deserve that good thing, right? We're using that as an example. The first thing you got to do is heal it on a small scale. So before you even wait for a windfall of money to come in or a large lump sum of money to come in, you need to heal what's going on internally with what you got. So when you get paid from your job or however you get your income, you need to start practicing having a better relationship with your money. How can you do that? Start tracking your finances. Stop overspending. Stop being scared to look at your bank account. You need to pay attention. The only way you're going to know what's going on is to by actively checking on it. You can't just have in your mind, oh, I made $1,000. I'm going to just go few stores. And then you thinking like you still up 800. You go check that bank statement and you really only got $200 left because you don't check in or, tap into what's really going on. So a good way to heal that relationship with your money would be to start paying attention to your money, track your finances, stop overspending, and just basically delegate where your dollars are going. And also, you need to get to the root of the problem. Again, if we're speaking about your finances, you need to ask yourself, what do I do when I get money? Do I just go feel like I deserve a good time, go get me some food, get me some drinks? Now I'm all of a sudden I'm at the club, I'm doing all this extra, I'm at the mall, I'm shopping, I'm showing my behind, I'm doing the most. Whereas if I ain't had that money, I would be, penny pinching. Because what happens is those patterns will keep showing up. Those patterns are going to keep showing up. It's not going to stop showing up. It's going to always be there and be present because you don't really know the root of the problem. But when you look at the root, then you could say, okay, well, whenever I come into some extra money, okay, we're going to throw it at my debt or we're going to throw it at my bills or, just get ahead instead of always splurging. That's one of the main ways that you can help correct that. And then what's going to happen is when you start getting larger sums, like lump sums of money, the first thing you're going to do is use it more, strategically. You're going to use your money wisely. You're going to be a better steward of your money versus you just doing whatever you do, like, just randomly doing whatever. You will heal yourself that way. You got to practice it. Now, let's say if we're talking about relationship wise, every time you get into a healthy relationship or what could be a healthy relationship and all of a sudden it turns toxic or it turns ugly or, a person just like, no, but you knew it could have been a good thing. But, you kind of like self-sabotage because you don't think you deserve a good thing. What you can do is really pay attention to the root of the problem. What are you doing? Are you accusing people of doing things that, your past partners did to you? Or, are your traumas showing up? And if they are, look into therapy. It is okay to seek help so that way you're not bleeding into new situations. Sometimes we be feeling like we good, we straight, like, no, I'm fine, I'm not going. And then you get into that new relationship and your old patterns are showing up and you notice a good thing, but it's hard for you to believe that for you. So honestly, when it comes to feeling like you don't deserve a good thing, I feel like the main thing that you need to do is pay attention to you, pay attention to your actions and what you are doing, because you are not going to say that you don't feel like you deserve it, but you are going to show it. And if you don't catch yourself, you're going to lose the good thing and you're going to continue to lose the good thing. Yeah, you might get it again, but you'll lose it again if you don't practice getting that together. So again, pay attention to how you are showing up and be willing to do the work. Don't be so set into your pride. Like if it's your money, oh, well, I get it back. I'm going to spend it and get it back. Okay, that spending and getting back is why you always at square one. If it's your relationships, oh, it's okay. Another one bites the dust or I get another one. Okay, listen, the good one's hard to come by, so you might want to reprogram that mindset. Whereas if you notice, okay, you be doing the wrong stuff or like, little bratty stuff, little catty stuff or petty stuff in relationships, but you notice a good one, start apologizing. Maybe you didn't apologize in your past relationships, but if you notice like, I got to change something. Nothing changes unless you change. So if you notice, I got to change something, change it and change it right then and there. Don't wait until the good thing is gone to be like, shoulda, woulda, coulda. I should have changed this. I could have changed this. I should have did this different. No, do it different now. So that way you can actually hold on to something and retain a good thing. So that is what I highly recommend if you are struggling with believing that you deserve good things. You got to practice it. Change your mindset. It is a mindset thing, but it's also an action thing. Pay attention to how your actions are displaying that you don't think you deserve that. Because your actions will show that. And when they show that, you correct them. I do deserve that. And I'm going to show that I deserve that. And I'm going to work till I believe that I deserve that. And that belief is going to show. Whatever you believe in your heart is going to show. So, it's normal to feel that way or to act that way, but it's your responsibility to change those things, okay? And those were just a few things that I wanted to touch on. It was a little bit more, but we will go into detail in the next episode. I feel like right now we kind of explored a few different things, which was really cutesy. If y'all want more on this, just drop some more in the comments and I will literally be happy to go into great detail. But I think those were some really good ones. And those were specifically what my Instagram followers gave me. And my friend gave me those as well. So I wanted to make sure I elaborated on those. But honestly, when it comes to just healing generational trauma, the main thing is getting to the root. Figuring out, where did this come from? Did this come from me or did this come from generations past me? And if it came from generations past you, where did they get it from and why? Because a lot of times you will realize you can put some stuff down, especially when it wasn't yours to carry. And I'll give an example. When I used to smoke, it got to the point where it was like years down the line, I'm like, why do I still do this? And I had to go back to the root. When I started smoking, it was really because, I was heartbroken and that felt good. And then when I was ready to stop and I'm trying to reason with myself and figure out, okay, why do I still do this? I had to realize I'm not heartbroken no more. I don't need nothing to pass time. I don't need nothing to waste my time. And I'm not a high schooler, just looking for something, the next fun thing. So it was easier for me to put that habit down when I realized that was no longer mine to carry. So sometimes you really have to all the time, a lot of times with the problems and trauma, you have to get to the root of it. And then if it came from you, do what I did. Where did you pick that up? Sometimes we pick stuff up from disappointment. Sometimes we pick stuff up from betrayal. Sometimes we pick stuff up like when we are in our down seasons. And so you need to revisit, where did you pick that up and why? And if you're no longer that person or that version of yourself, put it down and be okay with putting it down. So yeah. And then outside of that, you gotta do the work. And I understand a lot of generational trauma, it wasn't even our fault. I just, this is how I was raised. And that's okay. It wasn't your fault how you got into that, but it is your responsibility to get out of it. And it sucks. It sucks. Why I gotta take responsibility of the fact that I was raised to be like overly independent? Or, whatever your trauma is. Why do I have to take ownership of it? Yeah, it sucks, but that's just how life goes. And it's your life. So that's really why you got to take ownership of it. And also, another reason is because if you don't, it will continue to take ownership of you. That trauma will continue to rule you in your life, in your decisions, in your relationships, and how you show up, in your mindset, and your beliefs. It literally stems to all of that. So make sure you are just actively doing the work. Again, if you guys have any other things that you want to explore under this umbrella, I would love to just put it in the comments and I will make a separate video so we can dive deeper. I hope this was helpful for somebody. I hope I actually gave some helpful tips, because it's one thing to talk about something and then relate to it, but then I want to also be discussing, how do you fix it? Because that's the kicker, fixing it. I don't want this. So that's really the gist of everything, and y'all know that's why I do this. But other than that, if you have not already, girl, what are you waiting for? Like, comment, and subscribe. Leave me some comments. I be wanting to chit chat with y'all. And other than that, I will see you on the next episode. Girl, let's heal.